So today's video I'm going to discuss about whether you should do a PhD. Now this is one of the most important questions in your career, and in case you are going to become a researcher in the long run, it's a fairly easy question to answer. But people typically don't start out with the objective of becoming a researcher. It's something that grows onto them as they finish their bachelor's degree, their master's degree, and think about their further career plans. So what typically happens is that if you are a bachelor's degree student and you are doing phenomenally well in your coursework, and towards your final year project you find that you become very interested in your project research and you want to go beyond the call of the immediate project, maybe look at a few journal papers and so on, that means that you are showing proclivity towards a research career. Now, if at that point you decide to continue with a master's degree and you further your research strengths, delve deeper into the coursework in your chosen field, and you write a thesis or a project out of this particular master thesis, then you have further honed your research skills, and at that point you may have a point in your career where you have to make a decision of whether you would want to apply all this knowledge which you have learned, or you want to work further and contribute toward the field where you are and create new knowledge in that area. So that's the million-dollar question at that point, which you typically face at the end of a master's degree. Now at that point, if you decide to do a PhD, then it's a very important decision as far as your life is concerned, and it's probably going to change your life in a very substantial manner. And so before I get into the whole process of how you can do a PhD, let us look at the question of whether one should do a PhD. So first I will tell you some of the positive aspects about doing a PhD and what are the things you can do as far as career is concerned. So if you look at a PhD, it's a requirement for most faculty positions and certainly all faculty positions at research universities. It's a requirement in most national labs and in many corporate labs. And you will typically find that experts working in think tanks or in learned bodies are typically people with PhDs. So anybody who is working on research in biotechnology, engineering, physics, sciences, and so on will typically need a PhD to contribute to research as well as to supervise people who are doing research. So that's a norm about the PhD. So if you think these are some careers which you have in mind, then again a PhD will become very useful to you. Now, as far as the corporate world is concerned, there are typically two tracks you can take. There is the managerial track and there is also the expert or fellow track. So many large companies have something known as a technical fellow track which you can follow. And this is a track which is very suitable for people who have PhDs and who want to continue to develop their expertise in a particular field. And these people are very valuable to the company because they act as in-house resident experts in a certain field, and many companies which are high-tech in nature would like to have certain research experts who work in the companies and who can translate, incorporate the research which is going on around the world into the company, as well as present a face of the company to the particular research world out there. Now you'll also see that there have been CEOs who have PhDs, such as Jack Welch of GE, and also PhDs run many startup companies working on cutting edge technology, whether it is biotechnology or machine learning and so on. The other things which you can do with a PhD is it gives you very good research and writing skills. So it's a good training if you want to write books, if you want to write monographs, papers, review papers, blogs, or any such written material. It's also a good training if you are interested in propounding your views and vision in spoken format. So whether you are making podcasts or videos or documentaries or going on TV as an expert in a field, then a PhD becomes very useful because such people are very confident in terms of delivering monologues on any given subject on which they are experts. So these are some of the career paths which you can follow if you have got a PhD degree. Now we come back to the question of whether you are suitable for a PhD or not. So I think, of course, the university and academic system will make a judgment about this fact as far as every new student is concerned. But let us look at what are some of the judgments they make in terms of looking at a master's degree student and deciding if or not she or he can become a PhD candidate. So one of the things which is typically required is you have an excellent level of performance in your bachelor's and master's degree program as far as coursework is concerned. And now here it doesn't mean that you have to be the department topper or something like that, but it's a good idea if you are in the top 10% of your department, because the reason this is important is because when you are a PhD student, you work all by yourself most of the time. And in this case, you have to be self-driven. You also may take part in many derivations, calculations, computer programming, experiments, and you have to do all these yourself. So if you make mistakes, there's nobody who is going to help you, and there may be nobody who can actually point out these mistakes to you till a very later stage of your research work. So it's very important for a PhD candidate to be very meticulous, very focused on detail, very conscientious as far as research is concerned, and so on. So these are some of the characteristics which are typically found in the top 10% of any student class, and that's because the fact that somebody has good grade shows that this person has been very meticulous as far as the objective of getting grades is concerned. And this is a fact which gives composure to the various professors that, okay, we can trust this guy in terms of the derivations he does, the codes he writes, and the figures he makes, and so on. Because again, if you are prone to making mistakes, then the results you may get may be wrong, and that may lead to long-term ramifications in your research field and also as far as your lab or university or supervisor is concerned. So that's the first message, is to get good grades as far as possible and keep your grades as high as possible when you are in UG program and also when you are in your graduate program. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is more philosophical, is that if you are more interested in your studies and in research than in the external world out there, because this is something which will help you do a PhD. If you have too much interest in the external world, or you are a very extroverted person, then you will have a lot of things which will call on your time, and you will not be able to spend in the huge amount of time which you need to spend by your own when you are doing a PhD degree. So typically you must prioritize your studies and research relative to your social life or your personal life and things like that. You may have a couple of activities which you do beside your research, but if you put too much time on these activities, then your PhD is going to suffer. Now, the other thing is, you must have some desire to write well. So again, this is very important for a PhD student, that he or she should like to write papers, reports, thesis, books, and so on. So the first sign that you are probably good at this comes from the fact that you will be good at reading all these things. So if you like to read books, papers, thesis, and so on, then you will have a natural proclivity towards writing. And this is a fact which many of the aptitude tests such as GRE try to test, is that if you are really good at the written word, and if you are good at the written word, then whatever research you do, you will be able to write it out in the form of a paper, and you will actually enjoy this process of reading hundreds of papers, creating a literature survey, writing your own paper, sending it to a journal, writing a cover letter, and so on. So again, if you are generally of a type that likes writing, then the PhD is very suitable for you. The same thing comes about talking, and in this concept I am talking more about monologues rather than dialogues, because a PhD will typically mean that you have infrequent dialogues with your PhD supervisor, and you will have to do a lot of research by yourself, where you will not have to talk much, and then periodically you will have to give 45-minute seminars on your research topic. So again, you will have to become a master of monologue. So this is again something which you need to consider when you are doing a PhD. So I personally think these favor certain types of reticent people, and it's more of a personality trait which helps you do a PhD, and you need to figure out whether you are good at this or not. And here again, I would demarcate between people who work on theory and computation versus people who work on experiments. So again, the people who work on theory and computation tend to be more in solitude than those who work in experiments. And so the requirement of being very self-driven and focused becomes even more important when you are doing theory and computation. And also the requirement of not being susceptible to making mistakes is also extremely important when you are doing theory and computation, because if you make mistakes frequently in your derivations, in your codes and so on, it's extremely difficult to figure out where you have gone wrong, and so therefore your entire results will be called into question. Now, as far as experiments are concerned, the possibility is also there in experiments that you may make mistakes, but you may probably have more help from your colleagues or from postdoc supervisors and some other people in your lab as far as experiments are concerned. And experiments may also reveal themselves in terms of mistakes through statistical analysis and so on, which is very difficult to do in terms of coding and theory. Now, one more issue to keep in mind is, if you are doing a PhD, your foundations in terms of following proper procedures is very important. So again, the factor about meticulousness comes in, and you need to add to that a certain tenacity with which you pursue your research, that you should be able to go on and on and on a certain problem without giving up. So you have to be indefatigable in this particular manner. Now, you put in all this effort, and I already talked about some of the possible career paths that you can follow once you do a PhD. But the question is, what exactly propels you when you are doing a PhD? I think some of the facts are that, number one is that PhD provides you a chance of leaving a mark on the world. So if you write even one journal publication, that means you have contributed something to the field of knowledge. And so this contribution is something which you have made to your field, and this is a very big thing. That's what I think about it. You also solve important problems. So if you feel very strongly about certain problems in your field, whether it is climate change or reducing vibration or solving problems related to diseases or curing cancer or devising fuel systems which do not pollute and so on, and you are very much interested in making a contribution to these areas, then again the PhD provides you with a way to directly contribute to this particular field. Now again, what are the positive things a PhD student can have? Number one is a very flexible lifestyle. So typically PhD students do not have proper office timings. It's not a 9-to-5 job, and therefore you can take your time, you can take tea breaks, coffee breaks, lunches, whatever. But the negative side of this is that you may be working at nights and weekends and so on. So again, that's a quid pro quo you have to take in terms of the advantages and disadvantages of a flexible lifestyle. Now, some of the other good points are that you get to travel to conferences in nice places, and you need to present your paper there. So you also get to present your work in front of various important people in the field. You make friends in different foreign countries. You travel to different countries around the world. You can apply to various fellowships such as the Humboldt Fellowship, Fulbright, Newton Fellowship, and so on. So all these are particularly nice in terms of not only the experience you go through, but also the resume you pick up along the way. So all these basically go into your curriculum vitae and they expand you and grow you as a person. So these are some of the pros and cons of the PhD, and many people think that if they do a PhD, they are only constrained to work in universities, but that's not true. The skills you learn as a PhD can be applied across the industry. You can always start your own company and work with that. And there are a plethora of activities you can do, especially today in the day of the World Wide Web, internet, and so on, which are possible for a PhD candidate. The one negative aspect is you may have to forego certain financial rewards for a long period of time when you are doing the PhD, and this is a trade-off you need to make in terms of the people who went off directly to pursue a bachelor's degree and then they took a job, and those who did a master's degree and took a job. So that is a trade-off you will have to make, and so this is again a very personal decision where you have to weigh the pro and cons. The expert career path carries its own positive rewards, and if you are interested in the expert career path, then the PhD provides you the bedrock on which you can build up a good career. And so you need to ponder about all these points before getting into the PhD program, because I think once you get into the PhD program, you want to make sure that you stay committed to the program and you do not leave midway, which some people do, and it's a very sad situation, because in that case they not only do not get the degree, they waste a lot of funding, and also they waste a lot of their personal time in terms of doing the degree and so on. So I would of course suggest that you give a lot of time to think before you embark on a PhD program. Consult various students, seniors, and people you know. Look at yourself very carefully, look at your strengths and weaknesses, and then if you are satisfied, plunge into the PhD program and then do not look back. So that's my suggestion for you today. I hope you benefited from this. Stay tuned to my channel and I'll see you in a next video. Thank you very much.